The Fast Life podcast is brought to you by Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. I just got my carbon ghost banded in today, and I'm pretty stoked. It's pretty badass. I'm not even gonna lie. It's a hard thing to want to paint because it looks so good in just the raw carbon. But I'm trying to work out some ideas for myself. You guys should check out all the models and options at SimpsonMotorcycleHelmets.com. From the Outlaw to the fucking Mod Bandit, the Ghost Bandit, they're all badass helmets. I've worn them all, and I really like them all. So check them out, SimpsonMotorcycleHelmets.com. Also, you can check them out on Instagram at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. Also, once again, Simpson's mother store in New Braunfels, Texas, is having their annual open house car and bike show Saturday, October 19th from 10 to 3 p.m. As I've said the last couple podcasts, we are going to be hosting a camp out at Waco Springs, which is about 5 miles away, 10 miles away, not even that far. Good place to camp, really cool, right on the river. It's going to be some good weather, I hope. We're going to be there the 18th through the 20th. All you guys are welcome. Just come out. Don't have to worry about, you don't have to do any pre-booking or anything like that. Just show up and camp. We're going to be doing a ride on that Friday early morning, so some of us are going to be showing up the Thursday prior, but just come out. It's going to be a good time, and we're going to have fun. So come on. Lexan Moto, the FT4 Pro, is to be the first in the industry to have a patented utility light with SOS function. The GT8 will be at absolute cutting edge with all the latest and greatest, including audio, paralleling, and mesh technology. Both wireless chargers will work with any phone that has wireless charging capabilities and will mount to any Ram X Grip phone mount on the market. These products are badass, man. I don't know if you guys are following all the stuff they have on Instagram. You can check it out at Lexan Moto on Instagram. And also go to LexanMotorcycle.com, and you can see all these badass products and figure out which one, or maybe get them all. Fuck it, ball out, right? These things are badass, man. I've been using the FT4 for the pretty much this whole year, and I can't speak highly enough about this thing. It's a really badass product, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on these new ones coming that they just released. And you guys should be able to go to their website, LexanMotorcycle.com. Check out all the products. Don't forget to use offer code FASTLIFE at checkout. You're going to save yourself 15% on all these purchases. So take advantage of that and check it out, and support us all, buddy. Paint Huffer Metal Flake is the industry standard when it comes to flake. And also, if you guys have been following Brian and Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram, then you saw the live feed they did a couple nights ago. They're doing it again. They're going to be calling it the Art Night, October 24th. It's going to be live on Instagram, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And basically, he's just having a lot of really talented artists come in and do live painting and demos. And he's doing it all on Instagram Live, and just tune in, check it out. It's a good thing to watch and be a part of. And he's offering giveaways and offer codes, and he does a lot of badass shit for that. So check it out, October 24th, live on Instagram, Paint Huffer Metal Flake. And don't forget, you can go to painthuffer.com and order all these badass products and use offer code FASTLIFE at checkout to save yourself 10% on those purchases. I have ran ThunderMax products on many bikes in my career. Their performance ECM is designed specifically for EFI equipped Harley-Davidson motorcycles. This highly advanced standalone tuning system utilizes proprietary auto-tune technology with wideband oxygen sensors to deliver unmatched performance and rideability. ThunderMax comes with 100% assembled, ready to install with no wire cutting or splicing required. Simply replace the factory ECM and oxygen sensor, load a map, and enjoy the performance. If you're on a 17 and up touring bike, you should really look into their oil cooler fan, which I run on my bike. It's a small price for a noticeable difference in operating temperatures on the big ass M8 motors. Installs in under 20 minutes and pairs right up with the ThunderMax ECM. Check it all out at shoptmax.com, and don't forget to follow ThunderMax EFI on Instagram. We just wrapped up a cool helmet for John Jessup at Team Dream Rides. You guys know him. He's the hub in NorCal for bike sales, bike builds, maintenance, and in-house dyno tuning. If you're not close enough to Stockton, California, don't worry. You can go to teamdreamrides.com. They are bringing on new products regularly and are now offering 100 days same as cash financing on all products. All you need is a job and a bank account. And don't forget to use offer code FASTLIFE for 10% off at teamdreamrides.com, and give John and the team a follow at DreamRidesJohn on Instagram. Kevin and his team at Big Bear Performance have been investing their product line into parts that make your Harley perform, feel, and look amazing, along with being the industry's leader in Olin suspension sales, service, and tuning. Check out BigBearPerformance.com, and you can always give Kevin a call and get the info and answers for your motorcycle upgrades at 909-479-7788. BigBearPerformance.com. Don't forget to check them out at Big Bear Choppers on Instagram. Welcome back to this podcast, guys. Really looking forward to dropping this one with Mike Porem from CMP. He's a great He's a great friend of mine. He's been, we've been hanging out and talking bikes for years, and I'm glad we finally got him on the podcast. I also want to thank all you new Patreon supporters, man. I've been seeing you flood in, and I appreciate it. Man, I'm really looking forward to what we're going to be able to do with this this support, and how we're going to continue to be able to put these kind of podcasts out like we're doing this month, with doing 2 a month and going forward. So thank you guys for all that support, and don't forget you can do it as well by going to fastlifegarage.com and going to the first little link on the page that says become a Patreon, and basically you can just donate $1 a month or whatever you feel comfortable donating. So we appreciate it, anything you do. We also appreciate all you guys sharing this stuff on your social media platforms. It really helps get the awareness for the podcast out there. So thank you guys, and don't want to take up too much more of your time, so here is Mike Porem from CMP Motorcycles.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast life.
Yeah, it's definitely weird at first. It was weird for me too at first,
I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Are there some people you're intimidated to talk to ever?
Not so much intimidated to talk to, but worried that I wouldn't be able to get the content out of somebody that I think that people would expect to hear. Like it's one of those things like that you want to do the research, and you want to be able to come into somebody's world and like have an interview and just walk away with like this fucking fire piece of this person that everybody wants to hear. But
right.
Sometimes it's not, and nothing wrong with it. It's just that it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't like the anxiety. I don't like putting too much pressure on me. You know what I'm saying? So I've enjoyed just kind of being super loose and free flowing with this thing and letting it just be whatever the fuck it's gonna be.
You usually do it by yourself, like.
Yeah, I mean, my younger brother's helped me out a lot, and sometimes he comes on these things, and when he's around, he'll do them, and he's way better at all this audio.
Is that who I usually see in the videos?
Yeah, and and then sometimes like we'll do it with like you and another guy, like you were talking about. Hey, we should get John show.
I think it'd be fucking awesome.
It would be.
Yeah, it'd be super cool.
And those are the kind of things I'd like to get to a point doing. I mean, the thing about this is like I'm here in Phoenix doing this, but I'm gonna have to come back again and again over the years if I keep putting into this thing and get more content. Like, hey, we got to sit down again. How are things going now in 2021, or 2020 or wherever the fuck it is.
It's great for the industry. It's great for anybody involved.
Yeah, definitely. So it's fun, but everybody, I guess we already started rolling. So Mike Porem, CMP. Is it CMP? What's that stand for?
That's actually my initials.
Oh, okay.
My name's Charles Michael Porem. It was hard for me to come up with a name for a business, so I just went with my initials. That was easy. Everybody always said you want a name recognition to go with it. So,
well, it's always had a cool vibe, and you've been like one of the performance guys that's always had this like tag of like you build performance parts for bikes, with the turbos and the exhaust systems and air cleaners and things like that. So, how'd you get into motorcycling, man?
Honestly, I really got into the motorcycle industry just out of necessity of a job.
Yeah.
Like, I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio. So like my junior year in high school, I came out here with my mom and my brother. We came out to Phoenix, and my brother was getting ready to go to MMI. So we came out, to get his living, everything situated, and I fucking love the place. I just being here. If you've ever been to Dayton, Ohio, any place you go outside of Dayton, Ohio, you like.
Yeah, so, it's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, and coming here.
The terrain and the fucking climate and everything is going to be like alien, like completely different
totally
world.
Different, whole different world. And here, we've gotten a lot more populated over the past 10 years, but then, late 90s, it really wasn't so populated. So coming here, everything was so clean. Roads were nice and clean. The sun's always up. Everybody's pretty. So it was like, I want to be here.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be in Dayton. So I went back, graduated high school. My brother was out here. He took Honda at MMI. While he was doing that, about midway through my high school year, my senior year, he got a job working for Titan Motorcycles.
Okay.
And that was, late 90s.
Yeah.
They were fucking booming, 96, 97, somewhere right in there. So he got a job doing that, and a couple of his roommates, they all kind of got jobs doing sub-assembly or whatever there. So when I graduated high school, by then, they moved people through that place pretty rapidly. So the guys that did stay got moved up pretty quick and had decent jobs working on stuff. So my brother actually ended up getting me a job there. Like I mean, we were always into motorcycles. We always rode dirt bikes. We always, we had uncles with Harleys, so we were always into motorcycles, bicycles, dirt bikes, anything like that. So coming out here and it was cool to work on Harleys, but I never really had the interest to do it. I mean, I like bikes. It was, like I said, the job was mostly out of necessity, but being there and being in that environment and being around all these people at that time, I really, more than anything, I liked the industry. I liked everybody in that fucking place was different, and they were all like, you got felons, you got this, you got a little bit of everything in all one place, but everybody got along. Yeah. And everybody was into the same thing. So that's what I really liked about the motorcycle
kind of like
industry.
Motorcycle is.
Yeah. And it's more that camaraderie, but I mean, everybody likes motorcycles, especially Harleys.
So was there like anything else that you were thinking about that was like piquing your interest in like doing besides motorcycling, or were you just kind of like
nothing?
I'm out of school. Fuck, I got to figure out this
life thing. Drank a lot. That was it. Right out of high school, we partied, and like I said, I just needed a job. I actually, when I first moved out here, I got a job working in a gym, and I was cleaning cardio machines. So that was pretty short lived. So working at Titan was great, and like I said, they started me off in parts. So it was actually a really good place. I think if someone was coming into the industry and wanting to do it, that's like the best place to start in parts, because you see every part of the motorcycle, you touch every part, and how that was there. Everything was an individual builder. So they had these what they called a cell. So there was a lift and pegboard walls, and I'd have to go in there and place every part. Well, in placing every part, I had to know what every part was. And then working on the floor with the builders, they start showing you, hey, this is missing. They got a bike here, and they're cussing at you because the thing can't get done. And so they show you what the parts are. And so, I mean, basically, it just went from working there in the parts department to, hey, do you want to work in the service department? So I started working in the service department, and I just got more interested, and then $10,000 Snap-on bill. Yeah, you got to pay it off. So. I don't know. It just kind of went from there.
So you were that Titan job pretty much gave you a lot of different foots in the door.
Oh, for sure.
That is one thing about because I never worked for shops like that, but I did. I used to like literally get a drag book and just look to it. Like, fuck, man, what is this? What is this? That looks cool. What does that do? What? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I learned a lot of parts that way, and it helps when you're, in the part of my career where I did kind of want to be a builder, or whatever you want to call it, a customizer, having those knowledge of parts is fucking key, because
everything.
You know how to fit different styles together. And all right, this guy wants this style of bike, so these Ness fucking brake calipers look way better with this style than some J brake or some shit like that. You know what I mean? So
one of the most helpful jobs I think I've ever had that's contributed to this job now was actually I worked at Ace Hardware.
For real?
When I was in high school, like junior, senior year, and it was threading pipe. Just doing all that stuff that kind of, you got threads and bolts and all that stuff. It kind of all touches each other,
Learning those things and learning, like, because you could probably look at a lot of, like, threads without even knowing what it is. Be like, all right, that's a 24 pitch, blah, blah, blah.
Shit, after working there for a year, I could pick one up and feel it, and know what size it was, But then I worked at Titan. I stayed there till 99. So I worked there for 2 years, 2 solid years. And it was, like I said, just...
That's like going to school for 2 years, though, right?
For free, yeah. And getting paid, actually. So it worked out good. And then at that time, man, there was a lot of people working there that are now, people in the industry. I worked with Jim Nassy when I was over there. He was our production manager. Met a lot of good people working there.
Well, it is crazy how a lot of those... those big, I don't know what you would call them, but like production chopper companies, basically. And a lot of people were there, and then it fell. Those went under, and then bam, shop. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, that was the custom industry then. You know, the '90s. That was it. It was big manufacturers like that.
Big Dog and fucking Borgette was here too.
All
right?
the Harley clones.
Yeah,
they called them then. Yeah.
That's crazy. So your brother, did he end up completely pushing into the motorcycle industry, or did he evolve into something else?
Actually, I mean, I left in '99. I moved back to Dayton. I worked there. I worked at a dealership back there, probably one of the best dealerships I could have worked at. Like mom and pop, family owned, with a race team, like legit. Like,
that's cool.
We did all of our own stuff in house, all the motor stuff. Like, it was like a real dealership, not like a lot of them are now. Worked there for a couple years, and then I came back, and I don't know, we kind of worked at Hacienda Harley for a little while.
Where'd you kind of get the motor knowledge at? For like
working with at the Harley dealership in Ohio was probably where I gained most of it, because they had a huge race team. The owner was one of the big guys in the AMA and with the 750s and all that stuff back then. Steve Moorhead raced for him, so he had good racers, back in the day, and he knew his shit. I met a lot of performance guys in the industry through him. Yeah. At that time, they still had the Cincinnati. Dealer Expo, or whatever they had there. Yeah. So, working there, all those guys would come through to Cincinnati, and they would all come up to the shop and come to Dayton.
Nice. Well, Dayton had an Easy Rider show too, right? Like they had an Easy Rider show that went through there. It was part of their tour. So yeah, I mean, it's always seemed like Ohio was like a big motorcycle state. It still is to this day. I mean, you got probably have a lot of dealers there, I'd imagine. But yeah, it's cool, man. Like it's crazy how you can kind of, basically you didn't do the school thing, and you're actually well known as performance building motors and turbos and all this crazy shit.
Yeah, I don't think the school is where you get that from. I think it's a school for a lot of people is a foot in the door, for sure. I feel bad for a lot of people now because they charge so much for that school, and there's no guarantee of anything,
Yeah, and that's I mean, you also were like in the perfect time, man. Like, so you were getting into all this right at the beginning of the twin cam. So you pretty much got to grow up with the twin cam.
When I started at that dealership was just when they were starting to introduce that and the V-Rod and changing the Buells. We did a ton of Buells back then.
So by the way, like, you are the only person that's ever made a V-Rod cool in America.
I've heard that before. Dude. Yeah, thank you. It's a lot of fun.
The V-Rod thing is crazy about that, right? Because there's a lot of people that did that for a while. Like, I have a lot of close friends. Like, I think you might have met one of them, Steve Chamberlain. He was at the house in Sturgis with us, the big motherfucker. Yeah. So he had a turbo V-Rod. He rode it all across the country. He's from Michigan and shit. And I mean, I've ridden one of them once my whole life, and it was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever ridden. Yeah. But you set yours up, which the first time I saw it was on the Hot Bike Tour a couple years ago. You got the bags on there, you got the RT fairing on there, and then the way you did the bars is just fucking like, it fits, man. It looks like that I could ride that bike.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, that was the whole thing. If we're gonna build something that we're gonna have to ride a distance, I wanted to be comfortable. Yeah.
That shit was bad, man.
The thing about those V-Rods, just sitting on them the way they're set up stock, like the bike's aerodynamic, it's cool, but it puts you in a non-aerodynamic position. It makes you like a giant parachute.
Yeah.
But and that's one of those things too. They're kind of like the Buells, people love them or hate them.
Yeah.
V-Rod guys love them.
Well, like that, what was that, like Hardcore Cycles or some shit, or Hardcore out of like Europe that used to do those fucking single-sided dope ass that say Hardcore on the wheels or on the side of the tank. Like, those look badass. I don't know if they were comfortable to ride, which, I mean, fuck, anything cool is not really that comfortable if you think about it. So,
right.
That's how it's always been until like more of this performance things kind of come around. So, but so basically going there and working in that dealership, you got to start in the mechanic side of it, basically. And then, what brought you back to Phoenix? Was it just more opportunities, or?
Yeah, there's a lot of bad shit, a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, a lot of shit. I mean, there's nothing to fucking do. Yeah, that's all there is to do. So, you start seeing your friends fucking falling off and whatever, and now fucking people are your friends are fucking robbing pharmacies for fucking pills, and it's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So And that was basically it. It was, honestly, I had a friend of mine that was in the Air Force, and he was back there visiting, and I drove him to the airport. We're sitting at the airport, and that was back when you could go in. He was before 9/11. We're sitting at the airport bar having a drink, and he's like, "What do you know?" Just asked me, "What are you doing here?" You know, and I'm just kind of like not really knowing what to tell him because I don't really know what I'm doing. And basically 10 minutes of talking, he convinced me. We left, went, got a U-Haul, loaded my shit up, and I moved back out here.
Nice.
Probably
Was your brother
the smartest
still
thing I
living
ever
here?
did. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And we've worked together. He builds bikes too.
Okay.
And shit, we worked at Nassie's together. We worked at Titan together. We worked everywhere together. He's probably the only person that I've ever worked with motorcycle-wise. Like if I got something in my shop, I say, here's my list of what needs done. I'm going to go do something else. And I ain't got to worry about nothing.
Yeah.
So it's the only person I've ever worked with like that. But he, over the past couple of years, kind of got out of the last motorcycle job he had was working for Jim Nassie. And it just things about that, I guess, kind of made him a little bitter towards the industry a little bit. So he kind of started doing his own thing. He's working in a machine shop. He comes here and helps me build bikes and stuff like that sometimes. So
what I've heard, I mean, it's funny how that works, how like a lot of shops are spawned out of another shop. And it makes you wonder, like, I was kind of just having this conversation with the Rebel Reaper podcast, but it was like, is it because you get so tasked to do so much for a company but feel like you get nothing, no type of representation or no kind of credit or no financial compensation for how much of the actual build that you're doing, or you know what I mean, those kind of things?
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. It kind of all depends on what you're expecting to get out of it too. Like all my years working for someone else, I put everything I had into it, work long hours, do whatever, but I never felt bitter that way. Like, hey, you owe this to me because I did all this for you. Fucking pay me. If somebody writes me a paycheck, I don't give a shit.
It's a job. Yeah,
I'm just doing. But yeah, I think for a lot of people that probably is how it is. And I didn't necessarily start this out of bitterness, you know. It's all I know to do.
Yeah,
you know? So it was just kind of that point where it's like I can go work for somebody else, and you know, I'm 10 years from now I'm going to be doing that same fucking thing, or I can go do what I want to do.
How you know, like when was it that you actually probably like really started CMP though? Like what year?
8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yep.
So
I was
11.
I was working for Trask at the time, and I had kind of gone back and forth. I was working there, getting burned out on working there. I was working at another job on the weekends, making really good money, operating CNC machines. So it was like that was super easy for me to do to make good money. So do I really want to work my ass off all the time to do this? So I kind of made a deal with Nick, and I was working a couple days a week and still doing that, and everything was working out. And then I got drugged back in there and was working full time, and it just got it was just like, I don't know, I wasn't wanting to be there anymore, and he could probably tell that I didn't want to be there anymore, so it kind of didn't work out, and then I don't know, things just got kind of shitty from there.
That's also like I mean, so if we're talking about 2010ish, 11, I mean, that was when like the boom was kind of, it's like it boomed here with the big wheel thing and this everybody doing all this shit on baggers. And I mean, it wasn't the peak, but it was like, you know, it was growing hugely.
Yeah, and I'm surprised it went as long as it did, and as much stuff as it did.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was a good time for me. Timing wise, worked out good for us with the shows and my relationship with Paul Tracy. You know, I started being friends with him, building bikes for him. His notoriety, honestly, it helped drive and get a lot of recognition towards us.
It seems like you have like all the best customers in the United States, like you do. Like it's kind of like instead of like being like I want all the customers, like no man, I got like 10 of the best dudes to have as customers, and that's kind of a good place to be, man.
We're definitely fortunate in that way. We got a lot of people, a lot of good customers, and a lot of, I don't know, I feel like with a lot of our customers, we work with them. You know, not so much working for them or just getting their money. We work with them. Like we do a lot of custom stuff. Like that's all we've been doing lately is custom. And
so do the kits kind of sell a lot? I mean, like what do you think like has been your biggest moving product as of like the last year? You know, because I know that the turbo thing, like when you came out with your turbo system, like it had I don't know what the right word is, but compared to the trash thing, and not to say anything bad about either one, but just it had a meaner style to it. You know, you had the fucking huge ass wastegate on there, so it looked like big business turbo system on a bike. You know, and it was still the same bolt on, same kind of kit, but it just had some like beefier, more, you know, and like you didn't do the intercooler on yours, right? It was just
not on our kits the way we sell them. No, we offer one, but it's not. We don't.
It's not really necessary.
Yeah, we offer it in a different way, I guess.
Yeah. So the turbo thing's done well for you, though, right? I mean, is that?
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely what's really kept us going. And then, you know, over the past couple years, as the big wheel thing has died out, and I got to say, I mean, that has driven us. That's paid our bills. The big wheel bikes and the turbos has fucking paid our bills as far as that goes. So, but you know, that shit starts to die out. It seemed like with the big wheel stuff, always back then there was this formula, this size wheel with this paint job and this size motor with the turbo. Like, you have to have all that shit if you want to place at a show. Yeah, and that seems to like it's since that big wheel thing has kind of died out a little bit. What it has been more, not so much the performance looking bikes, but it's the stereo stuff now. Like that's huge. That's what the show is. It's a paint job and stereos.
Yeah, I haven't been to I didn't at Sturgis. I didn't go to the. Was it big? Is it, how do they say it? Is it, I forgot the fucking name of that.
Baddest Bagger?
Baddest Bagger. I was thinking Bagger Nation. I was like, no, that's Yaffe's fucking shop name. It's like tripping.
It's all kind of combined.
So what are the shows like now? Are they just pretty much a stereo competition?
Well, that particular show is probably the only one that I've been to since last year. You know.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to a show and hung out long enough to actually live through a stereo contest. Paul's show was, you know, it was the normal big wheel bagger show. They had a good turnout. Is nothing as to what it was before. I mean, fuck, 2 years ago or whatever, you know, there's 200 bikes in that thing, and I didn't do a count, but I would say there was probably 50 maybe at this show.
I remember that time. I think that was the last time that. Probably 2 years ago, Sturgis, about 200 bikes. Yeah, I was there. That was when I was on my Gold FXR. And, you know, I put my bike in there, like, but then it's like, they classified everything by wheel size, you know.
So
and
your stock bike.
Yeah, you're stock. And I'm like, fuck, man, like, you know, it just, it made it to where, like, if it could have evolved with the scene and embraced certain sides of it, then it could have, like, maybe I'm thinking
brought everybody together.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking about a utopian world, but maybe it could have worked together, and then people could have been inspired by each other. Oh, that bike looks cool, man! Like, let me jump on it. But it just segregated itself from the jump.
For sure. Well, this year they added he added an SRT class, and I'm assuming because of the big wheel and all that stuff. So when we got there, I was on my V-Rod. So we pull in, and I'm with, you know, all those guys in their fancy bikes, putting them in the show, and they were kind of categorizing everybody. And I don't know his name, the guy that does the Bikers Against Bully, you know, I pull in there and he's just like, oh my God, I don't know where to put you, but I fucking love this bike. So I ended up getting a trophy with my V-Rod in that.
But that's what it should
show.
Be, though.
And it should be. You're right.
It should be like exploiting the things that are different. You know, instead of only showing attention to the bikes that all look the same, the kits.
Right.
You know, oh, well, you know, you got the Eric Carr paint job, and you got this, and you got that Baddest Bagger. You know what I mean? Like
that formula.
That formula. You know, I mean, it was good for the people that were on the formula. You know, but you know, it doesn't create a lot of diversity in the thing, and it kind of did. It kind of got like watered down with. Not to say that the bikes that were getting built weren't fucking dope, but it was like, man, where's the innovation at? Like this kit formula, it's like. Everything custom about this bike is like off of a shelf in some form or fashion. The paint job,
right?
The this, that, the engraving, all these
things. Even the exotic parts. That's the thing. Like everyone that, you know, there was a lot of people jumped out in front, good fabricators making all this cool stuff, and then it was like people just started kind of knocking off exotic looking parts, even, you know. And then you can get all this stuff cheap, and like you said, just kind of waters it all down. Yeah, for sure. But it's, you know. Like we were talking, man, I've really wanted to try to bridge the gap between that world, because it's been very important for this industry to continue to be an industry. As much as people may not want to accept it, like big wheels coming along is what has kept
things like drag specialties and
Fuck, it dumped a
people in
bunch of
business.
money back into the
Exactly.
industry. Huge amounts of money. I don't think we would have had. What else have we been doing? You know, like.
I mean, it's hard to say now because it's past it, but I mean, like other bikes have become popular, you know, and in the time frame that it's taken place, you know, the club style world has really kind of become something very, very appealing to the guys that aren't in clubs, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's kind of a popular niche of motorcycles, as well as like, you know, Shope evolving into liking the Softail thing, and I think those are fucking cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rock one.
I like all motorcycles. Like,
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
dirt bikes. I like it's like sport bikes. I got sport bikes at home. I mean,
Nice.
I constantly hear people on Harleys fucking busting people's balls about sport bikes. But it's like,
Yeah.
fuck, if I want to go out and I want to really ride, I'm gonna go get on my fucking 1000cc sport bike and ride. You know.
Yeah, just, you know, so I wanted to do these podcasts, and I mean, not that I wanted to have you on a long time, you know, just because of just our friendship and like knowing each other, and you kind of always making like cool exhaust systems. I mean, you were doing kind of like the stainless shit kind of before the stainless shit turned into what it was.
You bought one of those pipes fucking years ago when you guys
we put it
came
on the
through
green
here.
bike. Yeah. And you know, that shit's always been cool, man. And like I said, I just want to kind of start getting people to open their eyes to what custom motorcycles is, and it's really just a blend of all this shit, you know.
Everybody gets so stuck on what's cool or what, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like what someone says is cool, and that's
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah, it
everybody-
happens. It's all good.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. Yeah, it's okay. Business hours are still operational. Yeah, man. But that's kind of the thing, and you know, I've talked to people, and some people have kind of been grim about like the future of our industry, and some people are optimistic, and it's all like you know, just their perspective they have on it, right? And I mean, do you feel like that there's plenty more going on, plenty more that you can be a part of?
For sure, definitely. And there's a lot of, I mean, think of all the young people that are doing this shit now. Like, it was an eye opener for me. I went to a FXR show in Orlando, I believe.
Did you do the Ace Cafe one?
Yeah.
So I was there. Yeah, I think I should have saw you there.
Probably. But yeah, that whole show like kind of changed. A lot of things for me changed after seeing that show, because up to that point I've gone to all the big wheel shows and just kind of been in that world, and then going there and seeing that and just seeing how all the younger guys there and their excitement, and it was weird to me, dude. It's so weird to me to have people come up and say, "Man, I fucking saw this bike in a magazine. I love it. It's
Yeah.
nice to meet you." Like, it's so weird to me. But like, I was kind of that way with some of those guys there, and it was just really, I don't know, refreshing to see these younger guys that, or I guess any age, but seeing that these are younger guys, but they're into this, and they're not like trying to fucking bust each other's balls. You know what I mean? Nobody's trying to put each other down. They're all just making
Yeah.
cool shit.
That's
and trying to do cool shit.
That's one of the things that inspired me to want to get into it, right? Because, you know, I was in this big wheel shit, and some of my drama or the things that I didn't like about it was my own fucking fault, because I made it bother me, you know? But yeah, I saw that. It's like, man, these dudes love to ride bikes. They love to talk about bikes. It's like kind of being back at like some parking lot where all the bikes show up, and before you go ride somewhere.
Right.
It felt organically fun, and it still does in a lot of ways.
When I told you the reason I liked the industry, when I fell in love with the industry, was that camaraderie.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of saw eroding with the big wheel stuff, because it's like everybody's fucking hating each other. I
Yeah.
mean, for lack
Even
of
if it's
better
badass.
words. Yeah, and that whole camaraderie is just like, it's not even there, and it's like this industry is like, from my point of view, that's always what it's been. It's been people helping each other out, not fucking shops hurting each other. If I've got a friend that's got a shop, and I got plenty of friends around here, and we all do the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
If they need something, I'm going to help them. You know what I mean? I'm not going to tell them to go fuck themselves, or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just,
I agree, man.
And like I said, and I can't say all of the big wheel guys, but man, when you start getting all these people into something like that, and everybody's got something to prove, And that's kind of what it comes down to.
It becomes down to like an insecure thing. And I was just kind of touching on this before, but when shops are insecure about what they provide and what they sell, it's kind of like it kind of exposes fakes in a way.
Yep.
Like if you're confident in the products that you make and the brand that you have and the skills that you have, then you should feel fine going in an indie shop or helping out anybody or showing them how you do what you do.
Yep.
You know, it's and I mean, yeah, like you never know. Like fuck, people are like, well, why would you tell that guy how to do that? I'm like, well, for one, the odds of him picking up right off the bat and being my biggest competitor in the industry is probably not going to happen.
Yep.
But, you know, I would rather have him there because, you know what, one day I might not be able to do this shit anymore, but I can still wet sand. So I go get that dude to give me a job in 10 years.
Yep.
And I can do something basic and be an old man in his shop. You know what I mean?
You never know what you're going to need later down the road.
Yeah. And, dude, bridges are the shit, man. You got to keep them open.
Yep.
You know, that way you have plenty of options later on.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, you see a lot of people... You see the demise of a lot of people happen, and it happens pretty quick.
Yeah.
With shit like that, just
the crazy thing I found is like how many people that have been in the industry a while really have had dark times with the ups and downs of industry. You know, like we have such a weird one now, man. Like, and I was talking about this with Shope earlier, but it's like for you listeners, you guys got to understand. Like, this is my third podcast today, so some of the conversations are kind of similar. But, you know, when you think about the chopper boom in the early 2000s and you think you can associate that to a lot of the push that the Harley and they did to get the lawyers to buy the bikes in the 90s, and then that turned into TV shows, and that turned into this big media boom of this motorcycle culture. And then social media carried fucking big wheel baggers. I mean, that's what I think. I think when Instagram came out right around the beginning of 2012, right when the 30 was getting big, and you know, and then it just carried the fucking bagger thing where it went. I mean, and Facebook, and you know, Facebook ended up getting the groups. So instead of everybody having their own forums and shit,
forums went away. Facebook groups popped up.
Yeah, and so it just kind of like that shit carried the big wheel thing. And now we're just in this place where we have all these same things still, you know, except for the TV shit. And, you know, there's just now so much content now, you know what I mean? So it's a little weird place. But, you know, I guess what I was trying to get at is like, you can, I've talking to Shope, and he was like, yo, man, I was in a fucking bad place, you know? It kind of like what you were asking me about when I walked in here, and I was like, you know, I just feel so much better now, so much more happy, so much more positive. And it's like, you know, it happens, man. This is a stressful industry, man.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's a demanding one too, you know.
And especially with that social media now, and how quick it is for people to get whatever they want from wherever.
Yeah, talk good or talk bad about it. It goes real quick. So, so you know, basically after you moved back here, like, what was the first step when you got back here from Ohio? Did you go straight into like Nasty, or does Nasty start working on his shop, or did you kind of like bounce around?
My brother at the time, like one of the guys that was he was a boss when we were at Titan, was working at Hacienda Harley. And at that time, Hacienda was looking to start building their own bikes. They wanted to set up and have their own. Because I don't know if you've ever went to Hacienda Harley before it turned into Scottsdale Harley. The guy that owned it, like, they would build nice custom bikes. It was one of the few dealerships that I actually saw that had production custom motorcycles sitting on their floor that they were selling.
That shit can't happen no more. Huh?
No, I don't think Harley would let that for sure. But that was initially the idea. So we both ended up working there for that reason. For whatever happened, that whole custom thing didn't go through. We worked there for a little while, and actually, my boss when I worked at Hacienda Harley was Matt Risley.
For real?
So that's where I met Matt.
Crazy.
Yeah, I met a couple other people through the industry there too, but I always liked Matt. We clicked up good with Matt. He's a cool dude. He's
I used
super
to sell
smart.
The shit out of his damn center stands, man. Always worked great.
He's still selling the shit out of
For real,
yeah, he's fucking killing it. But yeah, we worked with him for a little while there. That was kind of short-lived. I didn't, after working at a
custom shop like that.
Well, working at the one back home, a family-owned, we're boring our own cylinders, doing our own shit. Now back into a Harley dealership where you're selling motor kits, you're selling big pieces. It was cool for a little while, but it was good. It was a good time filler.
Yeah.
I left there, and another one of my friends, another guy that I worked with at Titan, was opening his own shop in Mesa. So I went out there and and worked with him for about a year, kind of helping him open that shop and get all that sorted out. Super great guy. When I left his shop, that's when I started working at Nassie's. My brother had left the dealership, went and was working for Jim. And then at that time, you know, they were doing really good too, so they hired me on over there. I learned a lot of shit working there. I loved working there. Yeah.
So where did you like pick up the welding and things like that?
Most of that stuff was started here. Like we did a little bit working for Jim, but our job there was mostly assembly. You know, building the bikes, and we did a lot of machining. We do some fabrication, but we had, you know, full-time fabricators there. So I built all the engines, transmissions. My brother would build most of the bikes, and then we'd kind of finish them together. Most of the fabrication stuff, like my dad, when we were kids, was a fabricator. So we had a huge garage where we had
tools and shit.
Shears, press brake, you know, all that shit there. So, you know, we got our hands on that stuff. But as far as really applying it to motorcycles wasn't until I had my own shop, you know, because working everywhere else, I was a mechanic.
Yeah, mechanic.
And then here, I've kind of, with getting people here, I've kind of worked myself back into the mechanic job. So I'm building all the motors and building bikes, and then we've got fabricators.
Yeah, it's weird how like there's not a lot of people that know how to build motors. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not as you know, crank up. That's not too many people know how to do that shit very well. So it's you know, it's kind of crazy because like, you know, Danny Wilson, like we had him on a couple weeks ago, and you know, that's what he gets off on, is being a fucking motor witch.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. The performance has definitely been the most intriguing to me.
Yeah.
The turbo stuff's kind of pushed that to a whole new level.
So, you getting into the turbo thing, was it that job doing the CNC shit that kind of opened the pathways to be able to create a kit of your own and do it like your air cleaners and things like that? You know what I mean?
I did gain knowledge of how all that worked, but I don't know if that really helped. I mean, that was the parts line just kind of come like once you've got a part and you're selling that part and you see that you can make something and stick it in a box and fucking sell it to somebody. Yeah. And that's kind of it. You know, you start your brain starts thinking, what else can we do like this? What else is performance oriented that we can do this too? And the exhaust pipes and air cleaners just kind of came naturally with that because we could kind of.
There was nobody making pipes like the way you did too around the time. Like there wasn't a lot of side exit pipes. If you wanted a short pipe for the big wheel stuff, you had to do an Akapovic, which is like the cheapest thing you can put on your bike.
Yeah, and our whole thing with that exhaust pipe was I wanted there was all these badass bikes with big fucking motors. Everybody's going bigger and bigger with engines, but no one's got a good exhaust pipe for it. And it's like you said, you can throw this little fucking shitty pipe on that's not going to work good on this 135-inch motor just because it looks cool. So it's like, let's make one that works and looks good. And that's kind of where we went with that, and it definitely grew from there. That bike right there, there's a Road Glide right outside that door, and that was like one of the very first ones that we tested on. That 135. Yeah, we learned a lot with that bike.
Nice. So you were able to do a lot of testing with dyno tuning and things like that with the pipes and find the right kind of head.
That's really the only thing we use our dyno for.
For real.
I know it's kind of dumb to have a piece of equipment like that and not use it to make money, but it comes in so handy for what we're doing, you know, and it's a whole other business in its own.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be doing dyno pulls for $300.
No, I don't want to listen to that fucking thing
exactly.
all day.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. But yeah, that's you know, that's always been kind of intriguing because, like I said, it's you were kind of like blazing a different trail in that big wheel bagger thing that was able to continue to grow and continue to come into this world. I haven't really ridden a lot of turbo bikes. Like I actually rode that one of John's today with a turbo on it, and I've ridden some back in the day when like Nick and you know the All Star Baggers thing, but that shit scares me, man.
It can for sure. I mean, we're getting big numbers out of these things. There's no doubt about it. But it's not. I mean, how did you feel riding that bike? Did it feel scary fast?
No, I guess because I'm not used to that power, it's like riding a two-stroke, right? When that fucking power band hits, like, oh, fuck, man, I wasn't and that's kind of the thing. I was big into turbo cars, like Nissan 240s and Skyline motors before I got into bikes. So I kind of got the turbo thing, but when you're in a car, like that boost kicks. It ain't like on a bike.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
You got your windows up.
Yeah.
You got your fucking radio on. Your seatbelt on.
I just want to hear the fucking blow off valve all the time. Like, trying to flex on
that's
dudes.
That's what everybody wants. Yeah.
But that the one thing that kind of I guess I do a lot of commuting on my bike, and I've always have. So I was always kind of worried about more the heat thing at factor, just on your legs all day. But now with the performance thing though, like the way that we're kind of like ripping bikes around corners, I wonder if it can play a part, or if it can be managed through riding corners and things like that, or if it might be a very scary power to have.
I think there's a place for it, but especially these big motors, big throttle bodies, big turbos. It's that low throttle opening stuff where you need the control that you don't necessarily have.
Yeah.
With the turbos, I mean, you can ride them. I'm not saying
that
it's uncontrollable to ride, but I mean, I think if we're talking about getting around a track or something, somebody's going to be probably faster around the track
for sure. Once they know, like if they ride and shit, then they can definitely use that power.
But it's one of those things I think you just kind of got to get used to.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think? So what kind of, like, when the M8 motor came out, did that take some learning for you as well to get down with that motor, or have you dealt with it much? I mean,
we turboed one pretty much right out of the box. We had one come over. We had a customer up in Northern California, and he contacted us, and he just showed up here one day. Like, I had been talking to him on the phone. And then my door opens, and he's like, I figured I'd just ride down, and he fucking dropped his bike off.
Nice.
We ended up, then there wasn't a whole lot of options on that. We ended up, I think I got pistons from Bryce, and we built a 120 out of it, had heads done and all that shit. Shit, man, the first M8 kit that we put on and tuned made 205 horsepower.
Damn.
It worked great.
What were you doing in the motor to kind of keep it, like, safe? I mean, is there any kind of things, or is it kind of, can you really bolt on some of this?
You can. I mean, you can bolt it on, and we get that question all the time. I mean, I've got my list that anytime I talk to a dealer or customer or anyone, I'm like, let's emphasize that, these things should be done.
Yeah.
If you want a bulletproof motor, you want to put this turbo on, and you don't want to have any issues with it, you need to do these things. And the majority of those things are for strength. There's some things we try to get people to do right out of the bat. They're going to increase performance, cams, stuff like that. They're going to help make a big difference. So, and I've got guys that have bolted kits on. There's a guy here in town. He's got an older 96-inch motor, stock, no cam, no nothing. He beats the fucking living shit out of that bike.
So you could just like run a lower boost on the thing and kind of not really have a deal with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you always have to keep in mind, and this is kind of what I tell everybody, like that engine comes from the factory making 80 horse or whatever, and you buy all the Screaming Eagle components you can buy, and you're going to be 110 horse or something on that displacement. So you got to kind of remember that that's what it's built for.
Yeah.
So when you're bolting on a kit that you can, say, you throw on a stock bike, you're making 150, 160 horsepower. Like, there's a lot of pieces there that are not ready for that.
Yeah.
There's some shit that'll live. There's some shit that won't.
Yeah.
So I hate it though, because like, there's a lot of people selling similar kits and packages and whatever, and it's bolt on. You don't have to do nothing in it. I hate it because it always comes back on us. Well, I can buy this one, and I'm not going to have any problems with it. Like,
well, that's why we should talk about it. I mean, those things that checklist of things that I know that probably needs to be addressed, and that we need to say, those are things that I think a lot of people are already doing on a lot of these motors.
For sure.
So is this kit, if they've already done the crank and they've already reinforced the rods and whatever the case may be, whatever they chose to do, and they do this kit, like, it's reliable at that point.
Yep. And at that point, what it comes down to is one, tune. Super important. Most important of all, tune, the kit's being installed properly, and the way a person rides. Because you can make something as strong as you want. There's somebody out there that can break that shit. And they do it all the time.
And you use a lot of Thundermax tuners with a lot of your kits?
Everyone. That's all we use. We wouldn't use anything but that. And we got a great relationship with those guys. They've helped us so much through the years, and just kind of back and forth on stuff. And I mean, still I can pick up a phone anytime and call someone and talk to them about anything, At any time we're at any of the rallies, I can send customers over there. They take care of them. So you don't get that with anyone else. I don't know if you've ever been to their
I
facility.
haven't been to their facility, but we hung out and had a good time in Sturgis.
Dude,
Those guys are good, man.
I like everyone that I've met there. I mean, when I went through that class, they walked us through the whole place, and I mean, pretty much anybody in that place is trained to do the other person's job. So,
that's
and
cool.
that's kind of cool too, you know. So like everybody's knowledged on what they're doing. So you get a salesman. He's got tech abilities too, you know what I mean? So you're not just talking to a salesman that's fucking bullshitting.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. So, I mean, for shits and giggles, like, what would you say is, like, not Mike Porem said I can do this and it'd be perfect, but, like, what do you think a good build is for, like, a 200 horsepower twin cam or the M8?
We've been getting really good results, and one of the kind of bulletproof go-to kits that we've been doing, and it kind of sounds funny, is that the 120R motor.
Mm-hmm.
The way that motor's set up is a fucking turd from Harley. Like, they are less than impressive.
Mm-hmm.
That motor is awesome turbocharged. So we'll take those motors, tear them down, and kind of do everything that we need to do. And with those, you know, you're really just making them strong. It's got pretty much everything factory that it needs to be a good
so
producing motor.
So you don't really need to go bigger than the 120 in
well,
there?
it's kind of, I mean, you want more power. You know, that's what you got to do. More displacement, you're going to get more power. But we've been able to build those motors, do the lower end, put our new kits. We've changed our kits a lot, like over the past year, totally reinvented the whole kit. So with our new kits, our new what would be our race kit, we're getting 200, 210 horsepower and torque reliably on pump gas.
Damn.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it is a reliable motor.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy. So as far as like the M8 side of it, like what would you say is a good, safe direction on that motor? Like,
kind of the same thing as far as doing the lower end on those. Like, that's the big obstacle that we ran into with turbocharging them. You know, our normal twin cam formula is Timken conversion, weld the crank, good studs, good gaskets, good pistons. You know, we can do all that. The one thing that we can't do is the Timken conversion.
I think
there's a company out there that's doing them, but you got to buy their crank.
Yeah.
So now you're.
So the leading edge is the one I was going to say is doing the Timken conversion, but they also have a special crank and rods. And pistons.
And I think the actual company doing the work for everybody is P3R.
Okay.
And they make that. I mean, it's a badass crank. It's beautiful, and the work they do is great. But
don't
it's
they like
money.
get rid of the fucking counterbalance setup in the fucking thing?
They do that too.
Yeah.
Now that's not something I've taken a few of those motors down to the crank and welded them and done all that stuff. I leave the balance assembly in there. I have not eliminated that stuff, so I don't know
how that's going to play out. We're at the early stages of the fucking M8 right now, so that's why it's super interesting.
The way I've always thought about it is the more balanced the motor is, the more power it's going to make.
Yeah.
So if there's something in there, balance it. And I've seen soft tails where people have pulled all that stuff out and they shake like a motherfucker because they're rigid mounted, you know?
Oh, shit.
We leave all that in, even on the soft tails. The downside to doing that on the soft tails is there's a sprocket on the output shaft that turns those counterweights, and it's just pressed on. It's nothing. So if you got a motor that's got a lot of torque, you get into it and it'll spin that, and then the whole bottom end's out of time as far as the balancing goes, and it shakes like crazy. So what we do, and I have yet to see anybody else do it, I've got a fixture. I can put that crank in the mill, and I run an end mill, 1/8-inch end mill through the side of the sprocket, and I just clip the edge of the shaft. And then I can put a pin in it. So we run a roll pin so it keeps that from shifting.
Nice. Yeah, that's crazy. I guess they're not used to having that kind of torque on a fucking on a crank.
We see all kinds of crazy shit with the turbos. You know, they make torque for the most part. You know, the cam and the engine build and everything has all kind of comes into play on what the power is and where it comes in. But I mean, for the most part, most of our kits are peaking torque at 3,500 RPM. So if you've got a bike that's making 200 foot-pounds of torque, it's making 200 foot-pounds of torque at 3,500 RPM. So it puts a load on some things. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, at 3,500. I mean, you're going to be able to carry that at least another 2,000 RPM.
I don't think people look at dyno sheets with like a very distorted point of view. You know, what you see on a dyno sheet, what most people see is that peak number, you know?
Yeah.
And we get a lot of grief from, not necessarily grief, but people are like, well, I can buy a supercharger and on that same motor, it's going to make 230 horsepower where yours is making 200 or 250 where yours is making 200. But what they don't see is like that power gain is from 5,800 RPM to fucking red line. So it's like, do you really need that? And then you look at the torque curve with something like that, and it's somewhat linear with RPM. You know, it's nothing real impressive. So you look at a dyno sheet for a turbo bike, and it's horsepower basically from corner to corner, nonstop, and then your torque is basically a straight line up and a straight line across. You know, and that's what you feel. You know, that's what people like Harleys for, that fucking kick in the ass.
Well, and that's kind of what I think is like made us all think that when we bought the M8 motors that we get in these high horsepower motors because they had so much fucking torque in them.
Yeah.
You know, and then you like, I had to jump back and forth. Like when I bought my 114, I was like, fuck, man. Like when I first got on it, I was like, this thing has got to put me in my ass. Because coming from 103s and 96s and 88s, I'm like, one motherfucking 14, like this thing's got to be there. Yeah. And then I'm like, all right, well, I think it's there. You know,
they pull hard, but then they kind of run out of legs.
They have that get you going, and then it just doesn't carry you anywhere. If that's the way I would put it. But
those motors are, and you can see it now with the guys. I mean, think about George Bryce. They're getting fucking big numbers out of those motors. You know what I mean? And like, there's nobody doing that with twin cams and stuff.
You know, from what we've been hearing is that the motors are made to do, like, they can handle a lot. Like, it's almost like the cases are bored out enough that you can drop in 129s and 128s and all this shit in there. And I'm it's potential. My thing is the reliability. You know, obviously that's kind of a catch-22 with performance, but you want to build something that feels good, but you're not being greedy with it. You know what I mean? I want to build something that gives me the power and the feel that I want, but I know that if I hot ride this thing all fucking day at 5,500 RPM, something's going to break. Yep. But I want to be able to do it, and I want to be able to jump on the bike and ride back to Texas. You know what I mean? Like, that's my thing, but it might be unrealistic. But I think it's, you know.
All these numbers get so blown up, you know, like a year ago, like 200 horsepower is huge, but it's so easy for people to say they have 200 horsepower now. So it's like everybody's wanting more and more power, but I don't think that the majority of people that say they have 200 horsepower even know what 200 horsepower feels like to ride. Because it's a fucking handful.
I've ridden a 260 or 70 horsepower Gixxer 1000. I don't need that. I do not need that in my life.
I know.
You know?
I can go, that V-Rod that I got out there makes about, I don't know, 170, 180 horsepower, and it's as fast as I ever need to go.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a 200 horsepower Softail that I'd get on the freeway and be nervous to go over 110 on it.
You probably have to pin your handlebars in.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, that's just crazy. But, you know, people like to hear about horsepower, man, because it is one of those things. And I know a lot of people are wondering, like, is it, you know, what are the, you know, the benefits of doing a turbo versus like a naturally aspirated, and I mean, not to like say this, I don't know what to say, but it seemed like it was the coolest thing to have on the bike. You know what I mean? Like, it really was. Like, if you want to like win the parking lot competitions,
that's what I'm saying. And I hate that. Unfortunately, I would say we don't get it as much now because things are slowly changing.
Yeah.
But 3-4 years ago, it was, you know, I don't really care about going fast. I just want the turbo on my bike. And like, as someone that's into performance and selling that stuff, it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart to hear somebody to say that. But I mean, that was kind of it. It was just that. It was like they need it for that look to win the show. It's that formula. Yeah.
But I guess now with everything kind of coming around, I mean, that bike you did for Kurt for the, you know, the Covington built, fucking, this thing's engraved. That thing's badass,
it's beautiful.
Man. It's fucking amazing, you know. And I wish people would see that, you know what I mean. And we were kind of talking, I don't know if we talked about it on this already or not, but we were talking about how the gap between people that are hardcore performance bagger people and they won't appreciate the things about this other world and the craftsmanship that went into things. And I'm guilty of it. I talked plenty of shit, but it's, you know, it's in good fun, you know what I mean? Like, but like I said, you see a bike like what those ones that Covington built, and you know, regardless of whether or not the bike can handle well or do this or do the same thing, it's like not everybody buys a fucking bike to fucking rail it around corners and mountains. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think it's cool that we're doing it, and I think it's cool that it's becoming a movement and people want to do it. But you can't expect everybody in the world to just bike the way you bike.
I think a lot of it too is, if you don't know how to do it, you don't have an understanding of what goes into it. Mm-hmm. So like if you don't build that bike, if you don't know all the work that's in that particular bike, you can't always appreciate it. You know, there's a lot of ignorant people, and I think that's what it comes down to. You know, they don't know what's in that, and it's kind of like we were saying, you can buy all these parts. So how can I know by looking at that bike that rear fender's steel? It is. How do I know that they built that chin spoiler out of steel?
Yeah.
It is, you know, but I can buy all the same shit out of fiberglass.
Exactly.
You know, so, I mean, I can kind of see both sides of it, but people are closed-minded.
Yeah, and I guess that's all I want to see is I just, you know, I think that a lot of the clown shit that came along into the big wheel bagger thing has been falling off.
For sure.
I mean, we're always going to see these bikes with these wheels and these things on it. It's never like... It looks cool. It's never gonna not be there. You know what I mean? Like,
this industry's fad based. Like the custom part of it is 100% fad based. I'm really surprised that the baggers, I said it fucking 6-7 years after it started, I'm like, this is gonna die out. There's no way that this is gonna stay and grow and keep going, and it fucking did. You know? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's I mean, it's cool, but I don't know, man. It's fucking fun though. Still, like I said, as long as people keep buying shit and these events and rallies and shows. And speaking of that, like, what do you think about Arizona Bike Week as the last couple of years? Has it been worth a damn, or have you been going to it?
Well, yeah, kind of yes and no. We do what we do here, and I try to get people to come through. Like when you came,
you had all the food out and
right.
everything.
So we try to do that. I don't know. For me, it doesn't really do me much good to be hanging out there. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. It just it's a big party,
and you don't drink either.
I don't drink, so I will go out and I'll go, you know, on a weekend and go talk to everybody and do all that stuff. I don't necessarily hang out. I think the idea of Arizona Bike Week is fucking awesome. Like, we've got awesome riding that no one does when they come here. Like, we've got all these places. And everybody just wants to go sit and hang out, which I get. It's a party, you know, it's for having fun. But that's, I don't know. That's not what I do, so it's hard for me to get into that. I think from what I've noticed over the past 2 years, it's gotten fucking huge. And basically just driving up through the town of Cave Creek and seeing how many bikes are there, they just keep getting further and further down the road. So it's definitely growing. It's been so spread out.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what I was gonna say. Like you would have like was it Westworld? Is that what that was called? So you would have that like official rally area. Isn't there like some big like indoor place somewhere where people like certain bikes can ride inside?
Oh, there's over at Arrowhead, in the Arrowhead area, there's Peoria Sports Complex where they used to have, and I don't think they had it last year, but they did have like a bar that you could ride through. You're basically riding through a bunch of tents. While people are sitting in there and drinking.
But yeah, I mean, the Cave Creek thing's badass. The only thing that sucks is like, as a drinker, a fellow, like a professional one, you can't, unless you're staying in Cave Creek, there's no fucking way I would go there and drink. And then there's one road in and one road out. And it's like all they have to do is just wait. Hey, don't put your foot down good enough at that stoplight or stop sign. Light your ass up, you know what I mean?
I don't know, and once again, I haven't spent a lot of time there during those peak hours when all the drunk bikers are leaving, so I don't know how that is. But in all reality, man, police-wise, I've gotten away with some serious shit here being on a motorcycle. Like, no license plates, no lights. They're fairly lenient on stuff like that, but I don't know. But you're right, that whole trying to leave there after having some drinks and a crowd of
and it's crazy
hundreds of bikes.
The last time I came here for Arizona Bike Week this was before I say the last time. It wasn't the time that me and my buddy showed up here. Mm-hmm. But when I was still with the Live Fast Customs, which is All-Star now, when I was still with them, we all came out and we went to fucking the College Street and got fucked up over there. Then we rode from there over the goddamn Scottsdale area, whatever that downtown area, and we're just getting fucked up everywhere. Then we're like looking for a strip club, driving all over the place. It's like, and I think about that now because I've had a DWI since then, and I've gotten it all. I'm past it, and I'm like, there's no fucking way I would ever do that again.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna leave the bike here. I'm gonna Uber over here,
Yeah.
and then I'm Uber over there. You know?
There's nothing badass about sitting in jail with a DUI.
Yeah, exactly, man. So, but yeah, I think it's. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like this fucking town has great riding. It's right there looking at you every day.
Yep.
You know, it's just. Maybe like what you do with the, when you have the stuff here, maybe set up a ride with it, man.
Well, that's kind of what we've been talking about doing, and we're actually to the point now where we can show our shop. Like I can have people come in and feel good about what I have here, because like
you're organized now.
Yeah, it takes me 5 years to settle in. You know what I mean? You know how it is. So we're kind of that point. Like last year, that's what we did, an open house, and we've been talking about that. I actually think that I would like to do that. Put some kind of ride together.
I've never been to like the Prescott area. It's how far is that from here? Like
about an hour and a half. I mean, if you went straight up the freeway, be there in an hour and a half.
Is there any good rides to go that way?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The ride to Prescott, I don't know if you've ever heard of Jerome.
That's why I want to go to Jerome.
It's fucking awesome. So you can leave here. I mean, you're going to have to you'll take maybe 20, 30 minutes of freeway.
Yeah.
Then you're out of town. Then you're riding up through the mountains on all the twisties and, out of everything. And it's
nice.
You go up through the mountains, go up into Prescott, you drop down the backside of Prescott and then back up in Jerome. And Jerome's cool. There's a little bar up there. That's kind of one of the destinations that everyone, weekend riders go.
Well, that's Maynard Keenan, James Maynard Keenan lives up there.
Well, he's got a store right there.
Yeah.
Pussifer
and
the name of the store.
Oh, the store. Yeah, that's right.
It's a fucking cool store too. It's like
For
2
real?
stories. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely want to check that out. And I've just never really been in that center part. Like I've ridden from here to Vegas and gone that route. Which there ain't shit.
Nope.
It's kind of like there's mountains, but it's like you're not really in them. You know what I mean? It's still better than riding through Texas, but I mean it's not as appealing.
That ride, I don't think any of the rides that come out here do that ride. I had a customer last year that came out and we turbocharged his bike, he picked it up, and he came out just to do the hamster ride. So I guess there's a hamster ride that rides up through Prescott.
Okay.
So that would be, or not Prescott, but Payson. I'm sorry. Rides up through Payson. So that would also be.
I heard there's
ride,
some sick ass rides up in there, like sick roads.
Oh yeah, really nice.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't really experienced any of that shit yet, man.
I don't ever got anybody to ride with. You need to come out here and we can go ride somewhere. No one ever wants to ride.
The thing that sucks, and as I'm getting older, I'm getting a little bit more established to where I can take more time on these trips. Mm-hmm. And there's been so many times like I'm coming through here on the way back from NorCal or something, and I'm here tonight and I'm out tomorrow. Yep. You know what I mean? So there's literally no time to put your shit down and go set up and go do a ride somewhere. Yep. It's like you have to make it a part of the trip here and there.
You're going to come out for Arizona Bike Week next year?
I'm thinking about it. It's crazy because we have this badass thing that takes place in Texas called Giddy Up. It's like a vintage shopper show. But and I might be breaking news to some people, but right now it's not happening. Like it's been 5-6 years in a row. It's one of my most favorite events I've ever gone to. Up there with Sturgis. Like I love this event. But they've been having issues because of how many partners were involved and things went south, and now it's and the clubs are involved too, and it's just fucking a shit show. But the last 2 years I've been going to that's been the same time frame as Arizona Bike Week, and so but I mean at the same time it'd also be cool to kind of like gear more performance driven kind of thing like that. We're like, hey, we're doing an open house here at fucking Mike's shop, and then Saturday or this day we're riding up to here to do this and do that, and kind of like make your own event within the event. You know what I mean?
I think the only ride that I know of that goes on during Bike Week that really geared towards riding would be Carrie's ride.
Good ride.
And I don't know what route they take.
So many fucking people though, man. I feel like if like you said you're putting on something, you might have what do you think, like 10 or 15 people maybe?
Probably something like that, yeah.
It's like that's cool. Like I can deal with that, but I'm not trying to go rip through the mountains with 30 fucking dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe that's the kind of ride you just need to fucking just enjoy and take it slow. And
I don't know what route they do. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd never followed the ride.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's cool that they do it. I heard that. I mean, the one they did in Sturgis this year, it was a fucking shit ton of people, man.
Sure.
It was a lot of people, so.
Sure.
And he's been doing those things all over the fucking world. He's been doing one in Germany.
He's been doing a lot for the industry. That's definitely a good thing.
You know, I was talking with Holt about that shit. I was like, man, you know, overlooked or not, I mean, the dude's like using whatever he has and he's putting it in here, and he's not really asking for anything in return. He's just doing it because he loves motorcycles, and I think that's, I mean, I don't know if I'm that pure at heart, you know what I mean?
Just do it for the love.
Yeah, like I love this shit, but man, fuck, I need to get paid. Dude.
Yeah, fuck yeah, for sure.
I don't have that pink money, I guess.
Well, we should do that. We should set up a ride for Bike Week.
Yeah,
here,
that'd be cool.
Get all those people here and do a podcast like you were talking.
What's the weather like at night? Is it still pretty chilly? I think it is. Yeah.
During Bike Week?
Yeah.
It kind of we've had years where it's been hotter and shit. At night, for sure, it's going to be cooled off.
Yeah.
This last year was great. I mean, it was perfect weather, really mild.
See, I was thinking about doing Daytona again this year, and you know, me and Holt were talking about it because they haven't done that Ace Cafe thing again, and I enjoyed the fuck out of that show.
You're talking about doing it for the Bike Week or for Biketoberfest?
Bike Week.
Bike Week.
Yeah. So, but
super cool.
Yeah, I was, you know, that thing's not taking place, and Daytona in itself is just kind of like it's a lost rally event kind of thing going on. Like nobody knows what the fuck's taking place. There's cops everywhere. People don't want you there, but it's still cool. You know what I mean? I want to find a way. So what we were thinking about doing was we've been doing our camp out thing, and that's been going well. And there's a couple friends in Florida that are into it. But me, I want to hit the Keys. I've never ridden them, and I want to kind of knock that off my bucket list of riding to them. So we're thinking about doing like we're going to camp one night on the west side of Florida. There's a lot of forests, a lot of nice places to camp and cool stuff. And then kind of like go there and then go camp the Everglades, then go hotel or something down in Key West and party, and then go up the East Coast up to Daytona, but only stay in Daytona for like a day or so.
It's really all you need.
That's all you need. You know what I mean? It's like Vegas.
Yeah, that'd be a fucking blast.
But yeah, just some good riding and some sightseeing, and you know, I would rather do that with 10 or 15 guys and just make a cool event out of it. Like the event is this ride and this, we're staying here. Like, you know, yes, you can bring your toy hauler, but you're gonna have to leave it here, and you're gonna have to ride your bike the rest of this event. Right. And then maybe we can all crash in your toy hauler when we get back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Daytona's just kind of it's just a party town. You know, it's
yeah, but it doesn't even like, dude. You know how scared I was to go drink on that street, have a beer, one beer. It's like cops are right there with flashlights looking for those doing the eye test while you're riding by. I'm like, dude, I don't want that kind of vibe. Like, I get it. Don't drink and drive. But at a bike event, we're putting all this money in your country. Let me make the dumb decisions. And if I die, I fucking die. Right. I don't need you to save me from that right now.
Let's just have fun.
Yeah, just let me have fun, man. Like, if I fuck up and wreck, then punish me then. Don't punish me before I fuck up. You know what I mean? Right. At that event. Right. You know, that's kind of one of the things about, like, you know, I got pulled over right before I showed up at Sturgis at y'all's place.
Cops everywhere.
They were so fucking bad, dude. I'm like, y'all think this is a good idea? I mean, you might make more money, or maybe the rally numbers haven't been big, and so they're like, fuck it, man. We'll make our money one way or another, you know? I don't know what it is.
I think they go a little overboard with the safety, you know? Yeah. Like, I would imagine that it had good intentions, but...
Yeah, but you bring all these fucking...
You know they're pulling revenue. You know it.
Well, from what I heard, that they were bringing in people from different precincts or different towns, and, hey, man, you're a cop in fucking Deadwood now. You know, and so you get guys that maybe aren't around bikers, and they think everybody's Sons of Anarchy and shit. I'm like, when that cop pulled me over, and he had his hand on his gun, and he was in a fucking, like, southpaw position ready to tackle my ass, I'm like, look, dude, I'm fat. I'm not doing much here, dude. It ain't happening. Just what do you want me to do with this bike right now? You know what I mean? It's fucking weird, man. Then the other cop walks. He was like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, man, like, dude, like, is this good cop, bad cop?
Yeah.
You know what's going on? What's going on with this shit, man?"
I saw cops everywhere. I didn't get pulled over. We did good.
Yeah, it was a sketchy thing, and I was scared. I was really scared to drink and do anything like that. That's why when we were at your place, I was like, man, I'm not fucking having a beer. I just got pulled over twice today. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, and I think we ended up, I ended up dropping my bike after we left your place.
What happened?
So literally we pulled out of where y'all were at, and we went right around, like, jumped back on the main road, and then went like 2 miles down towards Sturgis, and then we went to, there's a shop up in Detroit called Clem Speed Shop, and they do some sick ass FXRs, kind of those kind of things, and they're all up there partying, and So, but their driveway to get to their house was like huge gravel, like not like pebble gravel, but like you can like roll over this rock and then the rock falls over and your wheel goes 8 inches over.
Yeah.
And I'm not fucking that tall and I'm on this jacked up bagger and I fucking got in a rut and I couldn't hold it up and I ended up having to just drop it. And I was like, I'm done. My buddy Steve, he ended up just coming and taking my bike up there for me and riding it. I was
like riding up a creek bed.
Dude, it was gnarly, man. It's really tough to do. So
did you fuck your bike up? You just finished
it
that
scratched
thing.
it a little bit on the left side, but man, my bike's already fucked up, man. I've been riding all over the place, you know. I was gonna pull it back apart in December and just repaint everything and do something else, because when you put those major miles on bikes, man, it's like it's really not a good idea to have a crazy custom paint job.
Nope.
You know, because the chips, the fucking, you know, it's massive. You know what I mean? So, but you know, trying to be cool. You know, that's my thing.
So far, so good.
Yeah, we're trying. So after, you know, like, were you have any like major hesitations whenever you started this place? Like, were you worried, or did you have confidence?
Only for probably the first 3 years.
The first 3 years?
Yeah.
That's it?
Well, I would imagine it's with any business too, as you see cash flow and then you see no cash flow and I think it was more of getting used to that than anything, because it's like one day you look at your account like, yes, I'm fucking doing good, and then literally the next day you're like, how am I going to eat?
Yeah.
You know, because you're just constantly reinvesting into your business. And I mean, I still stress over that kind of stuff, but it's definitely better now.
Yeah.
You know, for sure.
It's almost like as you grow, you also learn how to handle all those like obstacles of you
Definitely.
know, being smarter business, like producing parts at a better margin or at a more workable flow rate of your time and shit like that. So
I think what helped too is the kind of the way we jumped out, like you said, with parts and whatever. We never really had to fall back on local service and stuff like that. So like everything outside of here has kind of kept us going, which has been good. I think if we were relying only on the money that I can make with my hands, you know, with local customers, I don't know where we would be.
Yeah, and especially out here with so many. I mean, fuck, dude, you got a shop full of bikes that don't seem like they're from Phoenix. And
I don't think any of them are.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the thing that a lot of people don't think about. But once you build a name and you've created products and your shit's been on bikes all over the country, it's like, these dudes got money, man. They'll ship that bike. It ain't shit to them. You know what I mean?
Our biggest thing, and if I could gear myself to do that all the time, it's what I would do is we get a lot of motors sent to us. So we'll get someone send us their whole drivetrain, take the whole thing apart, do everything it needs to do, make a big fast motor, Cerakote it, do all that shit, do the full custom deal, send it back to them, turbo on it, ready to go. They just set it in a bike.
Nice.
And that's what I like doing. Like that's like, ideally, if I could do that all day, that's what I would gear this business.
That's got to feel accomplishing too, because you're actually seeing like you're customizing one part of a bike, but you can fully take all the pride in that one thing. You know what I mean? That's
every
cool.
Piece of it, yeah.
I mean, you did the one for Nick and them with that 32 bike they did.
The gold bike,
the gold one, and
brown or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, that fucking motor was sick, and that was kind of part of the kit too, right? After a while, like it was the Cerakoted motor with the ARP bolts and shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was one of actually those guys and Nick with that bike was one of the first ones that I can really remember that was really fucking every part. We're going to take every part of the bike off and coat and do something with every part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that's the only person doing it or had done it at that time, but there wasn't a whole lot of people doing that. And now all those custom finishes and stuff have really taken off too.
Yeah, yeah. And I think those things on motors, man, it really just makes it it really sets it off. It gives it that different look, you know, especially when you're putting it on, you know, a Harley that's usually just either wrinkle black, blonde, or, you know, polished. Which who the fuck wants polished, man? That's a nightmare.
Right. They're still out there.
Yeah. It's good to find them polished. That way you can sandblast them easier.
Yeah. Never thought about that.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So basically, when you were doing like coming into this, like you had the parts line, but you still had the second source of income, which was the actual labor that you could put into doing motors and things like that.
Yeah.
That's smart, man.
I started the business. I mean, I actually started doing and building my own stuff while I was working at Trask. You know, I had another, and that probably was part of the falling out, I'm sure, is I had another shop that I was doing my own thing. And that all I know is working on motorcycles. So of course I'm doing the same thing that I'm getting paid for, but it was a different thing. I had a whole different point of view on what I wanted to do with my business back then. And I'm glad that wouldn't have been very practical. It definitely would not have made me a lot of money, but we were already starting to build and do our own stuff then.
Yeah. What do you think about, we were kind of talking to Sturgis, and you've been kind of taking new ways of like promoting your business now, like using social media to the advantage of getting products out there and stuff like that. And it seems like it's all self-contained, like you handle everything out of here. And do you have anybody that works for you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, there's normally 3 other people working here, two fabricators. I usually do, all the bike stuff, wrenching and that kind of stuff. Still do fabrication. And then Brandy, she basically runs everything else.
And so when someone orders a kit, like, all the bins here, it's like, this right here, and you kind of like, you had it laid out right here, you were assembling a kit for it.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah.
I touch every part that leaves here. Everything that goes to a customer, I have my hands on it.
Yeah.
All of our turbo kits, I pre-assemble every kit myself. The way we're doing them now, and it's a lot better this way. We went through because we to the point we were selling 10 or so kits a month.
Damn.
And like for us, it's like we're fucking hustling. It takes everything we have to do something like that. So at that time, it was like we need to start doing more production. We need to fixture and do all these parts and do everything fast. We're like wanting to have 10 kits raw sitting here and shit all the time, and that was all good. But we kind of, since everything slowed down, we kind of slowed down what we're doing too. So now every kit gets built on a bike. So like everyone's custom. So when someone tells me their shit doesn't fit, I know because I've had it all on a bike. You know.
Yeah.
So it's helped a lot. I can be a lot more in touch with it, and I'm a lot happier with the product. I like to, when I sell something to someone and somebody tells me, hey, I opened this kit, I'm looking through here, I can't find this. I can say, well, I put it in this box. It's in this bag next to this part. Like, I want to know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I get people, one of our downsides to our kit is I don't necessarily have good written instructions for our kit.
Yeah.
Part of that is I'd like to have a conversation with someone. If someone calls me and they've got these crazy outrageous questions, I'm like, this guy's not set up to handle this. So I can kind of get a feel for what they're doing. But so we don't have set instructions. But if someone's unclear, I'll sit there for 3 hours and fucking on the phone with them and help them install that, just so I know it's done right.
Yeah.
Because I want our stuff to perform like it's supposed to.
Yeah, you would think something like that you would want, unless you just, obviously, you wouldn't want to just take all that as chance. Like, I would rather trust a mechanic, someone that has, like, some kind of insight to this kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like,
you'd be surprised. Some people just want to go for it.
Yeah, like, fuck it, man. Got this Craftsman kit, 100 pieces.
Yeah, I can do it.
That's wild, man.
But I'll help those guys too. That's all part of it.
Yeah, you've been able to travel quite a bit the last couple. Couple times we've seen each other was Daytona, fucking Smoky Mountains, and then Sturgis. Mm-hmm. That's kind of good that you're getting out there and not being a slave to the shop.
Yeah.
Or at least, I think you're not. Do you feel like it?
It's that again has gotten better over time. Mm-hmm. I can take the time that I need and not, because it's the not knowing. It's not, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so maybe I should stay and get all this stuff done to do whatever I might need to do tomorrow. So like after time you kind of get a little more comfortable, and then I seen the effects of going to a show. Now we don't go and we don't set up and do all that stuff. We've tried that, and that doesn't do us any good.
Yeah.
There's nothing good about being fixed in one spot to where,
people have to come this. You can't.
Right, it doesn't work. So like what works good for me.
And you got to pay for that spot.
For sure. Like, so I can fly in or, send a bike there and fly in or do whatever, and all I've got to do is meet up with our dealers. I go hang out with people like you and all these other guys. And that drives sales more than anything, just hanging out, not sitting and trying to push pamphlets and that kind of stuff. So, and I see the effects that because, we did it for a couple years, and then, shit happens this year and you end up missing a couple shows. Well, it reflects. Like when you don't go to shows and people don't see you, they forget about you.
Yeah,
They really do. So I do try to make it a point to get to those big shows and do that stuff and hang out. I mean, all my friends are there. You know what I mean? That's the only time that all these guys, all the other industry guys that are working their fucking ass off just like me every fucking day can get a little bit of a break. So it's the only time we all get to hang out, you know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think it's also good just to kind of like keep you in touch with like the industry in a different way. Like if only your only perspective of the industry is always through a phone, you know what I mean, then it could get grim. So but then you go out there and you hang out with your boys, you do a little ride to here, and you're like, fuck man, like this is the shit that you know, like this is the stuff that makes it fun. And it's like now I feel great about being in it, and I'm gonna go back home and get back to work, you know. But if you're on your phone all the time, you're like, fuck, this dude's a fucking piece of shit. He's, you know what I mean, he's doing all this kind of shit.
One of the things I did, and I said when I went to that show at that Ace Cafe, and it kind of changed my point of view on the industry and what I wanted to do. One of the things I did after that had to do with social media. I came back and I went through who I follow, and I deleted 3/4 of them, and I started following different stuff, and it just changing that kind of changed our customer base as well.
Ah, that's actually a smart thing to do, you know, because you know, there's so much tricks of the trade now with social media stuff. You know, get rid of like people that might be fake people. Not that you buy them or anything, but you get people that start accounts and follow you, and then they never do anything with it, so they're inactive. And so like, you know, if your shit's only showing to X amount of percentage of it, you don't want that percentage to be fucking bots or things that aren't real.
When it's count. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a you got to go back through every once in a while and just kind of weed out fucking no name accounts. Like follow me for XXX pics, you know. Like I don't remember fucking following this dude. You know?
Yeah, you can only look at those so many times.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's kind of cool, but it's cool to see you out there, man. And it's just kind of like fuck, man. Like Mike's here. You know what I mean? Like Smoky Mountain. I didn't know you were gonna be there. Yeah, dude, you know,
it's fun to get out and hang out. I love doing the shit. I love the industry. Yeah, I do. I love that part of it.
That's good, man. Well, shit, dude. You got anything else? Good?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know? It's first time? What do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? What's some shows or some events or some things that you'd like to go and check out moving forward?
We talked about doing Galveston this year. We were pushing real hard to get the new bike to Sturgis, and things just don't work out. That's how it is in this industry. So it didn't make it there. So we were talking about, because you know the whole reason of doing that is building that bike is to show the parts and you know, get it out there, try to sell the bike, make some money. So not going to Sturgis was kind of like, man, we sunk some money into that bike and it didn't make it. So we were thinking about going to Galveston, but I've never been to Galveston, so that's one that I don't know if it's a good one to go to. I hear it's a big party. And
it is a big party. Well, it's cool. You know what I mean? It's a cool place. It's a cool little town. But when it's better than Daytona to me, maybe it's because it's down the street, so it's like I'm not that invested in it trip wise. But you know, Galveston's a cool town. There's like the downtown area where it's like a full on party, like Main Street Sturgis kind of thing. And then there's the seawall, which kind of has like vendors kind of set up along the ocean. And that's a little bit more laid back, but realistically, that event's the kind of event that you just link up with your boys and you just kind of like go around and see shit. You go sit on the Strand, which is what they call it, where the downtown. There's a lot of money walking up and down that street, you know, I think. So
it may be worth going. I mean, never gone before. Maybe
Covington usually goes down there, right?
I think so.
You know?
I was talking to Dave about that, and he didn't have a whole lot of good to say about that event. So that was like kind of the only person that was like, I don't know if you're going to make any money there. And I respect what they say because they sell a lot of fucking shit at these shows. Like they sell every bike they come with, you know.
You know, I think a lot of us use Galveston in Texas, and you know, it's a big rally. There's a lot of people that go there, but it is like the send off of the season for a lot of, you know, as far as events are concerned. Because after that, it's fucking, you know, it's holidays
until Bike Week, in Daytona.
Yeah, it's like a whole 4 or 5 months, or November, December, January, February. Yeah, 5 months.
I'd like to spend more time. Our biggest following, you know, from what I can see, is Texas, California, Arizona, like
Yeah.
kind of in this whole area. I'd like to do more in California. I don't know about getting into that stuff. They like what they do for shows. I wish we had here.
Yeah.
What I see at some of the dealerships and some of the stuff they do over there, get huge crowds, and it's like everybody from outside looking in, it looks like they all get along, and it's like, oh, good deal. It's like, why don't we do that? You know?
Yeah, I deal with the same shit in Texas, trying to get dealerships to kind of work with shops, and that's what they do out there. So you got major dealerships, you know, working with local, you know, brands and co-branding together on events. So, you know, instead of your dealership, which usually only will pull in the hog chapter, now you got these clothing companies and this exhaust company and this company coming out setting up, and it brings their crowd and their followers, people to see. The next thing you know, you have it's a show. It's like you got hundreds of people there to see all the different shit.
And it's a bike night.
Yeah,
you know, it's not like there's this huge rally. And
yeah, exactly.
It's bike night every week.
As far as the events, man, like it's really, you know, like all the events that I go to Cali they're all grassroots kind of thing. Like Born Free is a awesome show.
I love that show.
Have you been?
I haven't been lately. I haven't been. I think the last time I went was 7.
Seven?
It's been a while, and it was fucking so cool back then. But it was like choppers.
Yeah,
and like
now it's
really
kind
ornate.
It's still
cool
that.
shit.
That's still the heart and soul of it. But it has a lot of Dyna FXR performance bagger shit going on now.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's just hard to say. Have you ever talked to like Chip and Mikey and them from like San Diego Customs and stuff?
Briefly through text and stuff like that.
I mean, I don't think
Seem like great guys.
I mean, I don't know if I would go there to like set up a booth, you know. But the show's cool, man. I think you're, like I said, I think that the Road King would fucking get some heads and some attention.
And that's more. I don't want to go to set up and vend.
Yeah.
It's just more to hook up with people.
Yeah, and it's a younger industry. You know,
Yeah.
it really is. It's like, and it's crazy to think because some of these guys that we're saying are younger, they're 40, they're 45. You know, it's just that compared to like Yaffe and Shope and you know, these dudes are in their 50s and maybe even 60s at some points, and it's like, you know, the next generation is kind of like where we are, you know, and a little bit older than us. They're the next ones that are going to usher in the next 10 to 15 years because we've already spent 15 years figuring out how to be, I wouldn't say successful, but surviving. That's it. Yeah, we've survived it. Right now, we might be at a point where we can really start making real money in this industry, making Shope money and fucking Yaffe money and branding to where we're putting our name on shows and events. Maybe the grassroots shit like we're talking about with you here doing the open house, then turning into a ride. You know, what do you know? Like 4 years later, 4th anniversary, next thing you know, it's like it's its own thing. Like, hey, we're gonna separate from the rally and do our own thing now.
That's how it starts, right?
Exactly.
Got to start somewhere.
So that's cool. But yeah, other than that, in Cali, man, like there's lots of FXR shows, there's lots of Dyna shit, and then it's just that the bagger crowd is very. It's not a popular bike in California. You know what I mean? Like it is in NorCal, but it's really hard to find big wheels or even performance baggers. There's not as many of them out there as I say that. I could be putting my foot in my mouth, man. It's really tough because when I see the performance bagger thing, I feel like, you know, the homies, like, did you meet Kyle? Insta having Kyle, I think he's out of St.
I've talked to him a few times. Yep.
There's a good group in there, and then you got Steve Chamberlain up there in the Michigan area. We got a couple of nice bikes in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Texas. Northeast has quite a few of them. You know, Barnstorm is up in Northeast. They've built some pretty badass baggers. And there's some in Cali, but I feel like all the ones in Cali, they've been stunt riding. You know what I mean? I'm thinking there's Mod Glide. He has a pretty dope bagger out of Modesto. But I'm naming one person. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like it's crazy when you start thinking about like this performance baggers are taking over. It's like, no, there's like 14 of us.
It feels like it.
Yeah,
We're really into it. Yeah. There's a lot of people doing it. I saw a lot of stuff in Sturgis. I saw a lot of cool stuff up there. So it's definitely coming out.
I agree. I mean, they did the performance thing at they did a bagger thing at Born Free this year that was put on with like the Horsepower Inc. did a bike. Kraus did theirs, and they came out with all their new line on shit. And then what else? They had actually did a show where if you had one, you can come in on Sunday because I never stay for Sunday. I'm always a Saturday and then I'm fucking out kind of thing. So, but yeah, they had a little thing on Sunday this year for the performance baggers. It's cool shit, you know. I don't know. Like as far as Galveston and Rot Rally, it's like a lot of these rallies are kind of like a lot of things in our industry. They've just kind of been going with the motions of things. And some people, like, I don't feel like Rot Rally's taken real interest in being the kind of event that the times expect it to be now.
No real purpose, just kind of an event.
Yeah, it's like just because it's been here for 50 years doesn't mean it's going to stay. I mean, Daytona is proof in the pudding.
Right.
You know, I don't think Daytona, if they don't fucking find some way to make it appealing to a lot of us, I don't think they have 5 more years.
It gets smaller and smaller.
You know? I don't see it, you know, and these big events, man, like those big rallies mean a lot of things for businesses like yourself, because we need those dudes that are trying to one up their buddies to have their shit better at those events.
Yep.
If there's no events to go to, then why, you know, where's the incentive? A bike night?
A bike night.
You know what I mean? It's a tough one, man. Like, I don't know. I want to go to Laconia this year. I've never been to that.
Never been either.
I was planning on doing that, but I was also planning to make that part of a huge loop because I've never done Northeast. So I was thinking about doing a 2 or 3 week trip. I can't do probably 2 weeks and some change maybe, and go up Michigan, the east side or the west side of New York, into Maine and all that shit.
I've never been to any shows through there.
I want to go see the lighthouse from Forrest Gump when he runs to the lighthouse and then turns around. I've done Monument Valley. I want to find all these Forrest Gump spots, man, and just like, fuck yeah, you know. It's kind of, dude. There's a whole route for like Easy Rider, the movie that they did.
Really?
There's a little route. There's a lot of it's in Louisiana and shit. It's kind of cool, man. Like if you ever like watch that movie and like we're kind of into what they, you know, just the thing, and then you go ride these little towns. Have
you ridden the ride?
I haven't. A friend of mine has, and he said it's pretty fucking dope. You know, so I'm interested in that kind of shit, like seeing those routes. You know, like did you ever watch that Chopper documentary, the 21 Days Under the Sky? It's a good one, man.
Is it?
And it's basically, they did the Lincoln Highway, which is basically a highway it's like Route 66, but it's Brooklyn to San Francisco. And so it kind of deviates a couple little spots here and there.
It's a hell of a ride.
Yeah. And these dudes on fucking rigid choppers, man. It's a great documentary if you ever get to watch it, but they just fucking rode it. I mean, it's all documented and glorified and things like that, but I liked it, man. It was one of the things that made me be like, that's the experience that I'm having on a big wheel, and nobody will pay attention to me, so I'm going to these other bikes where they do this kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You put a big miles on one of those bikes, right? Yeah,
literally, man. We did plenty of trips where we did, you know, 5,000-mile trips on those bikes, you know, and at the time, I said this on the way to Sturgis. Every time I ride somewhere, I feel like elite, like I fucking rode here, man. Ain't nobody doing. I'm badass, you know. Meanwhile, I'm passing other bikes riding to Sturgis, right? From Florida and further than I am. It's like it's not that. It's just weird. That I guess it feels like nobody does it because our whole life is social media now, and a lot of these old fucks, they're not on their Instagram story and like, yeah, fucking I'm in Nebraska right now, you know, on my way to Sturgis, right. You know, hashtag Throwback Thursday, all this kind of shit, you know. So it's just strange, man. So you kind of, I went through that phase real bad where I felt like I should be rewarded because I've been riding and not because of my hard work or something. You know what I mean? Like that time that me and my buddy came through here on the green bagger and my white one, we went to Arizona Bike Week, and that was the one where I was like, I was sitting there and I felt entitled. You know, like I rode here.
Because you rode here.
Yeah. And there's maybe some, like, you should feel proud of yourself when you do some big rides. It's a cool thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was a negative way that I was acting or thinking at that spot there, you know, because I'm sitting there watching Flash, whatever the fuck his name is, just all over Curly's dick, right? Who trailered there in a fucking 18-wheeler trailer.
Yeah. And
it kind of like it made me salty as fuck. You know, I was being a hater. You know what I mean? Is all it is to it. And like I said, after that we rode from here back to Dallas, and then that documentary I just said that I was talking about just released it on Netflix. So I watched it, and literally my buddy Brad that had the greenback, I was like, dude, watch this thing. We just did that on baggers. but it wasn't, our industry didn't glorify that type of shit like they did in the chopper scene and kind of the Dyna culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to get away from it. I wanted to find another bike to where I guess I could get patted on the back for doing that shit in some kind of like sadistic kind of way, you know?
Yeah, because I don't think any of those guys really care. Like
They
the
don't.
big wheel guys, I don't think they give a fuck if you wrote it or whatever. You know, it's a show.
Yeah, and that's what something me and Shope were talking about earlier is that you can kind of find out who's really into bikes whenever the thing slows down and everybody jumps industries. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay, you were literally here just to make a dollar. You didn't really love it. You know what I mean?
It seemed like one of the common people that were jumping into the big wheel thing, it seemed like there was a lot of paintless dent repair, a lot of window tinters, a lot, you know what I mean? Like automotive
stereo shops,
stuff like that were what was really driving that thing. Yeah, and it was like for me, like I never started working on bikes to install stereo. I never started working on bikes to fucking cut, sand, grind fiberglass. Like never ever. So I never really. I mean, I appreciated a lot of the stuff we were doing, but
exactly.
Just not
changed,
really
man.
into it.
It's probably weird going for you from like being around in the motorcycle industry in some form or fashion during the chopper boom, where everybody's making handmade tanks over their knees and shit.
Right.
And then all of a sudden now it's like some dude's got a fucking roll of fiberglass on the wall like I'm a fabricator.
Well, and I was the same way. I worked for fucking NASA. Like they built all the badass metal shit like fucking way over the top. So it's like start seeing with fiberglass fenders and stuff like that. I was like, are you really trying to impress me with that? You know?
Exactly.
But then after a while, it's like you got to give in. Like, fuck, am I going to pay $2,000 for a fender? Am I going to pay $500 for the same look? Because no one cares. The customers don't fucking care.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a weird one, but like I said, a lot of people, and that's what's going to happen when the stereo thing falls off too, is that all these guys that jumped in here for the money, they're going to go away, and then the people that really do love bikes, you know, they're left with a whole bunch of people they idolize that didn't give a fuck about bikes. You know, they just wanted the money for doing the one thing they were kind of good at. It's hard to say if you're a stereo guy that you're a bike builder. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like I never would have saw that coming. That's like throwing anything plus a bike builder. You know what I mean? I cover seats and now I build bikes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same thing. You know,
a lot of guys that I see jumping out of the industry around here are moving more into the side by sides and stuff like that.
I get that. You know, I get it. I guess I'm just kind of like more like the Nazi Hitler kind of like, you know, like get out of my fucking industry if you're not into this shit. You know,
I like motorcycles.
Yeah, and I would rather try to figure out how to be relevant in something that's not what I grew up in. Like, if this is all electric bikes in 10 years, I'm just hoping that I figure out how to make cool paint jobs or something, you know, how to get them to go over 150 miles, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I hope I can stay in the industry and just continue to find a way to make it and be, you know, make my money in this world.
What do you think about the electric bikes?
You know, I've got the worst, like, I don't think I have a valid opinion. You know what I mean? Like, because on one side of it, I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. On the second side of it, I'm trying to be optimistic and realize that you know, Harley's just trying new shit. It's inevitable that at some point in time, a lot of things are going to be all electric. It's going to happen. You know, it's just kind of weird that we're seeing it happening in our generation. Even though when we were kids, we all thought 20, 30 years we'd be flying cars and shit. It's just weird when something actually becomes the future. And it's like that, like, you remember, we're kind of close to the same age in a sense. I don't know if you ever used to lay down in bed just wishing like you're on your phone with your girlfriend in high school or some shit. And you're like, fuck, man, I wish I could just see you right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I never used FaceTime on my phone, ever. And if I was a kid, dude, I'd been jerking off in front of her all day long, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been some kind of technology that I would have loved.
Think of the trouble that you would have been in if you had that technology when you were in high school.
She'd probably be screen recording it while I'm doing it. Like, look at this dumbass.
You could get all your friends together to start trouble. You know what I mean? Like, we'd have to drive around or walk around to find people. You could just fucking...
Is Mike home?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, tell him I came by.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, so it's you know, I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm more, you know, I told Shope this thing earlier. It's like, man, it'd be interesting to see what guys like you do to these bikes. You know, like what if, you know, because he was talking about how he's kind of like, he gets in these ruts, you know, like I don't feel creative. I don't feel like, you know, I have the next thing. And I was like, man, like I saw that in you and Yaffe. Like you guys have always been like, what's the next thing? I got to be the one on the forefront. It's like, man, stop trying to hit home runs and hit base hits, man. Just keep doing cool shit, make small parts, make incremental gains in this industry. And one day you're going to probably be looking at something you never thought was there and be like, I got it. You know, I got something cool. Or you might not. Either way, those base hits end up getting scores eventually. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I don't know. What do you think about the bike? Can't turbo it.
Can't turbo. I don't know, man. I don't, and I honestly don't have an opinion, or have not thought about it enough to really have an opinion, or maybe my brain's not letting it actually become a reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I hear a lot of people, well, you know, when there is no more combustion engine, it's like, is that going to happen anytime soon? Like,
it'd be
are we really
to-
going to be faced with that? And like, how I wonder really how Harley customers would accept electric only motorcycles. It's like the Buell and the V-Rod.
Yeah.
There are people that love it to death. Everybody else fucking hates it. You know,
you just brought up a good point, man. It's kind of like the Buell and the V-Rod were kind of like their, hey, man, we got to get on this metric market.
Right.
And they tried something else, and it's always been their tried and true that's kept them rolling. You know, the only thing I see happening with electric is if it literally becomes some kind of mandated thing in the world, you know, like we're not using fossil fuels anymore for this shit, which I don't think is going to happen in our lifetime, because that's an economic thing that couldn't, you know, it couldn't justify it. Like you literally can't tell.
They won't work that out.
Half the people can't afford a fucking regular car on the road with, you know, I'm saving up to get an 86 Honda Accord right now so I can get to work.
Right.
You can get a Tesla or some shit? What the fuck, man? Like, how you going to just mandate something and expect the world to be able to afford it? You know what I mean? So I don't think it's going to be our lifetime where it becomes mandatory. But, and I honestly, man, now that I'm kind of thinking on this more grim side of it, I think that, like, some people will buy it. I don't think it's going to be a huge hit. I think that we're probably at least 20 years away from that kind of a bike having a real stronghold in our industry to where we'd be wanting one.
The bicycles. I've been to the dealership and seen the little bicycles they got, Harley bicycles. Those are fucking cool. That's really cool.
Dude, if Harley made like a little Vespa electric scooter, I'm fucking down. I'm not paying 30 grand for it.
Well, you'd have to if you wanted it.
You know, I'll rock that. I'm brand loyal. You give me some other shit besides a motorcycle that I can buy, I'll buy that shit.
Yeah, for sure.
But what about like Indian for you? Have you ever done anything with those or found any interest?
The only Indian I ever would really to this point have seen any real interest in would be the Scout. Just it's the only one that I see that's really got potential performance wise. I don't like the looks of any of the other ones. We did some stuff with Victories for a little while, but it's kind of like in our world, our Harley world, those guys that are buying the Victory and the Indian are once again kind of like the V-Rod guys. They love that, and that's what they're sticking to, you know. And most of them don't even know why they like it. They just do.
You know, when I was a kid, the shoes to wear were Nikes, right? And some fucking kid always had to come up with Reeboks. Like, I'm trying to be different. That's what I feel like.
And that's exactly what it is, for sure.
You know, it's like a lot of people that want to, you know, the FTR is a badass looking bike. It's kind of too, at my age and the way I like to ride and what I need my bike to dual purpose for me, it's just not a bike that I'm going to buy. It's a good price, 120 horsepower, sounds awesome, you know, but, and then you look at these, you know, like the Dark Horse or whatever the fuck the other bikes are called. It's like, I don't want copy Harleys. If they would make a fixed fairing, it's like all the designers in the world. You think that Harley figured it out in 1979, you know, or whenever the first Tour Glide fairing came out, like that was it. Like they figured it out then. It's never going to be
best idea. First one.
And now you have a company like Indian who has like, you know, Polaris backing it to where they could pay somebody to do some real R&D research and create something new. Like, go get somebody from fucking Audi and be like, hey, dude, this is the deal. This is the bike. I don't want you to see what's out there. I don't want you to see a Harley fairing. Let's see if it is the only way to make a fairing. It might be. Who knows? It might be the only way to make an actual functional fairing on a bike is the way the Street Glide and the Road Glide are. But maybe they should put somebody with new eyes in there and say, instead of like, I feel like what it is, I'm rambling here, but I feel like what it is whoever runs that shit at Indians, like sitting there in the back holding up a Road Glide and being like, it's not Road Glide ready, man. Like he's making the people make another Road Glide fairing instead of like just tasking someone to create something new.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
Almost got that. And that's what the whatever pictures I've seen of the new whatever the Indian is. I don't really follow what models or what, but it has the Road Glide look for sure.
So one thing I noticed about it, where people are like, oh fuck, this thing has, you know, inverted front end and Brembo calipers. That shit's dope. Hopefully we can get them cheap and put them on Harleys, right? But what it is like that fairing on both the Street Glide version and the Road Glide version of the Indian, the fairing and the bars are like a foot inside the fairing, and then they come up and dip out like some goddamn, I don't know what kind of bars that would be called, but it's like, that's not like a good position. Like T-bars are becoming a big thing, you know, that style of bar system, it works and people want to ride like them.
It's comfortable,
you know, and that bike won't allow that, you know, just, I mean, unless you want your bars in the fucking middle of the fairing coming out, like it just doesn't make sense. And it probably makes it hard to make custom parts for that bike, you know, which is weird because they're also the only company that's really encouraging aftermarket people to create products,
to do stuff with,
but they're not giving you the best platform to do it on, you know. I don't know, man. I mean, you did make a V-Rod cool, so maybe you can do
it with an Indian, yeah.
Oh, shit, man. Yeah, it's crazy. But, yeah, I don't know where this industry is going, man. It's going somewhere, obviously, but, you know, even if we figured it out, we're not making any money on it.
No, you're right. Well, and that's the thing with the shop. I was talking to a friend of mine a few years ago, and he was like, good, well-respected guy in the industry. He was like, what you really need to do is just figure out what it is you want to do and focus on that. He goes, everybody's wanting to do this and this and this. And like all these shops, they want to do everything. They want to do stereos and motors and we build this and do this. You can't do everything. I can't go out in that shop and do everything 100% like the other guys that work out there doing their job, you know? So he said, you know, just basically focus on what you want to do, and that was it, performance. So we want to do performance. There's so much that goes with performance that we're not going to run out of things to do. Yeah. And I don't know when the fad of performance is ever going to die. I don't think big wheels are going to die. This is going to die, you know, but everybody wants to go fast.
Everybody's always going to put an exhaust.
Consume more fuel for sure, you know. That's
never going to die for sure.
That's never going to die. Yeah. So that's kind of...
That's a good T-shirt slogan. You need to figure out how to put that on there. Performance never dies.
Just like that, I guess.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be good times, man. So, what's that Rook bike you got in here? Is that?
He built that for Rockstar, and actually, that bike was on one of the biker build-off shows. I think probably one of the last ones that he did. I think they built that bike. Built it for Rockstar. Did the show or whatever. It's been at Rockstar. My brother. He worked for Jesse. We both kind of worked for Jesse or worked with Jesse, you know, back in the day. When I worked for Jim, Jesse used to come over to the shop and buy parts and stuff. He'd come in and hang out with us before he even built a bike. So we'd known him for a long time. And my brother, through working with Jesse and before the Red Bull thing, Jesse was kind of doing stuff with Rockstar. Yeah. So they kind of hooked up, and my brother ended up being one of the friends, and being friends with one of the guys that had been to Rockstar forever. So when Jesse passed away, they brought the bike down here. They pulled it out of storage, brought it down here, dropped it off so we could clean it up, go through it. And I think what they're wanting to do was auction the bike and give the money to his family.
Nice. That's really awesome.
So they took it, they picked it up and took it up to Sturgis this year. And
I think I saw it there.
Up there in Michael Lichter's museum.
That's where it was.
For the show. Yeah.
He had a style, man. This shit was badass.
For sure. It's cool having that bike here. I never really got into those because it's like that style isn't like you're not going to go and ride and put a bunch of miles on that, but it's fucking cool. You got to appreciate what it is. But now that it's here and seeing it in my shop, it's almost like a little piece of history, you know.
Yeah, it is.
Seeing it.
Yeah,
I like having it here.
It's just badass, man.
Yeah, it's fucking cool. It's definitely attention getter. Anytime someone comes in, they're like, "Wow, what the hell is this?"
You should be like every other builder. Yeah, if he fucked up, man. I'm in here fixing all his shit. These builders out here don't know what they're doing.
That's here for repairs. It's fucking dangerous.
Look at this shit. Well, cool, man. So we'll wrap it up. So tell everybody your website, your Instagram. You do
CMPmotorcycles.com is our website. Instagram, CMPMC. Facebook, CMP Motorcycles.
Yeah, and they can get all your parts, all your shit online, you know.
All of it on the website. Any questions, call the shop, talk to me.
Nice. Cool. Well, Mike, I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Hopefully I got your cherry on this one, you know, first time doing a podcast.
Be a little easier next time?
Yeah,
for sure.
I saw you were a little nervous at first, and you kind of eased into it.
Yeah, it's all right.
Cool. I appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys for checking out this podcast. Thank you, Mike Porem. Good time sitting there talking to you. Looking forward to having you back on in the future. I also want to thank Simpson Motorcycle Helmets on Instagram and SimpsonMotorcycleHelmets.com. Team Dream Rides on on the website, TeamDreamRides.com. Fast Life at checkout for 10% off, and Dream Rides John on Instagram. Big Bear Choppers on Instagram and BigBearPerformance.com. Give Kevin a call. 909-478-7788. Ask him some questions. Get some answers. Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram and PaintHuffer.com. Fast Life at checkout for 10% off. Thundermax EFI on Instagram and ShopTMax.com, and Lexan Moto on Instagram and LexanMotorcycle.com. Fast Life at checkout for 15% off. Thank you guys for joining us again, and looking forward to dropping Ramjet, Tony from Ramjet. It's a crazy story about that. I'll tell you real quick. We did the podcast. It's about 2 hours long. And then we stayed in his shop and drank shitty Coors Light for 4 hours after the podcast. So unfortunately, I didn't get that part of the podcast recorded, and it was epic. But the 2 hours that I got was awesome too. So looking forward to that. I'll be back here on Monday to drop that with you guys. And then Thursday next week, the 100th episode. You guys might have saw us talking about it on Instagram. Joe Kidd, FXR Mike, T-Bar Jesus, My Dyna Wobbles. It's going to be a good one. Peace out, y'all.